Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Rob's Little Blue Book. And tonight we're doing sweet and sour pork. But first of all, I'm going to lead off with a cool thing because it was a gift from Serena and I'm wearing it. It's a chef jacket. And oh, you can't even see. Anyway, it has Rob's, this side, Rob's little blue chef's coat on it. It's really comfortable and I don't know, I think it kind of looks good. So we'll see how long it stays white. Knowing me, probably not all that long. But that's cool. Actually, we have two cool things for the week. This is the coolest by far. Yeah. So thank you to Serena for that. And we are going to kind of dive right into this. So this, the reason I wanted to do this recipe is there's a couple of really cool techniques for this. When I was looking for stream ideas, I was digging through my notes. And yeah, I think so too. It really kind of pops, you know. Anyway. Oh, that's just my stream bot. Okay, sorry guys. Chat's distracting tight. The reason I wanted to do this is because this is a very, very simple. This one's all about the sauce, and thanks Rebecca and Serena. It's a very, very simple sauce. We're doing a sweet and sour sauce, and this is not the Chinese American version. Every cuisine has a sweet and sour sauce. In French, it's a gastrique. In Italian, it's an astro something. Filipinos have a version of this. Anyway, it's very, very simple. We're just gonna pop over to ingredients right now. The sauce itself, which we're not gonna make right away because we have a little bit of work to do first, is simply white vinegar and sugar. Sweet and sour. It's very straightforward. It's a 1-to-1 ratio by volume. So I have a cup. Actually, I have a tiny bit less than a cup of white vinegar because that's all I had. And so I have a scant cup of white sugar. And we'll put this together in a little bit. But that is basically it for sweet and sour sauce. So this sauce is incredibly adaptable. And I'll kind of explain different ways you can use it as we go through. We're going to use it tonight for sweet and sour pork. But you can adapt it as like, it can be a salad dressing, or like a dressing for vegetables, sauce for pork. It can be a lot of different things. So let's move on with, so we're gonna have to tackle the pork first. So this is sweet and sour pork. I'm gonna keep it really simple tonight. We're gonna be using, for aromatics, we have garlic and ginger. We're gonna marinate the pork for about, well, really as long as we can, hopefully about half an hour. We may not have enough time to do it for the whole half hour. And we're going to marinate it in a little bit of salt, some white pepper, which we have to grind up, and some Shaoxing wine. Shaoxing wine you can get in any Asian market. And if you know, if you go to Chinatown, try and get the unsalted version. So they salt it. It says salted right here. They salt it here so people won't drink it. And apparently people still try. It's the unsalted, this will be fine. You just have to account for it in your dish. And we're using just like a tablespoon in our marinade. So it's not a huge deal. But if you can get the unsalted version, you can usually get it in Kensington Market or Chinatown, just on Spadina. Okay, for those of you who have no idea where I'm talking about, sorry, but find your local Chinese market and make friends with people there and ask them for the good stuff. Okay, so let's tackle this pork. We want for this pork shoulder, which this obviously is, and we're gonna have to trim it. So you can buy this pre-sliced, especially in Asian markets, but I didn't. This is the only one I could lay my hands on short notice. So we're gonna have to do it the hard way, and well, it's not that hard actually, but we're gonna take this. So we're gonna take the skin off first, and then we're just going to cut it up. You can make this a lot easier on yourself if you pop it in the freezer for maybe half an hour before you get started, which would have been a really good idea for me to do, but I kind of forgot. So this will be a little bit trickier to like slice up, but it's not impossible. If you make your own lard, of course, save all your trimmings for making some nice lard, but I'm not going to bother tonight because I have a freezer full of this. Okay, so this is a bone-in pork shoulder. In a pork shoulder, there's only one really bone that you have to worry about. It's this one right here, and I'm just going to take it out. And this bone has like the most bizarre shape. So be careful, first of all. And you can kind of just like feel it with your fingers right through. Actually, just kind of punched right through, didn't we? Go at it from both sides and it'll just pop out. My fingers are quite handy for this. Get this last little bit, and it goes way over here. Come on. Also, remember where your fingers are when you're digging around in the shoulder with a knife. There we go, there's your bone. If you got a dog, hey Nick. Sorry, I was doing the roast, or I would have seen your chat. Again, if you're gonna make stock anytime soon or whatever, I'm not. My fridge is so full of stuff, so don't waste this stuff. But I can't deal with it tonight. So okay, so now we got our pork shoulder, and the reason we use pork shoulder. So by the way, don't use like a pork chop. Don't use pork loin for this. You want these big fatty bits. They're tasty, and there's really no substitute. So don't choose a lean cut. Pork belly is probably too fatty. I wouldn't use that. So what we want are thin slices, and I'm gonna try it with this knife, but I'm probably gonna seem to go okay. As I said, this is a lot easier with your pork's a little bit frozen, and I'm just gonna try and take a few slices off here. I'm not gonna carve the whole thing because I haven't decided actually what I'm going to do with the rest of it. And that's actually about the thickness you want there, okay? You'll see we're going to tenderize this in a sec. But that's actually kind of what I wanted. Take a couple pieces off this side. See, and you want to see those nice veins of fat. That's all flavor. It's going to be amazing. And I want about, like for serving for two, kind of want about 1/2 pound of this. So let's get a little more. And as I said, I've said several times now because I'm regretting not putting it in the freezer. That will make your life a lot easier. But this is going okay. What do you think? Think that's enough? I have pieces here. 1, 2. Kind of hungry tonight, so let's do one more. Take that off. So any questions so far? This seems like this part's pretty straightforward. Okay, great. So that's good. Let me get this. Actually, guys, I'm just going to pop this back in the fridge while I'm thinking about it. Give me a sec. Okay, now we do want to tenderize this, and we want to make it a bit thinner because this is kind of too thick for what we want. If you have a meat tenderizer, like a little meat hammer, that's fine. Serena, that's a really good question. It's not that you can't put meat back in the freezer. It's more a question of food safety. And the reason isn't that you can't refreeze meat, because you can. Like all the meat you buy at the grocery store has been frozen once, right? They freeze it right away. They thaw it out. So even if you buy something out of the butcher case, take it home and freeze it, you're freezing it a second time. It's not fresh. But it comes down to a food safety thing, because that time your food spends warming and cooling is when the bacteria gets in. So it's best not to put it through too many cycles of that. And Rebecca's probably right on that count too. I did want to show you guys a little technique here too. So you can pound this with a meat hammer, which is, I don't think is very elegant. You can also just use the back of a chef's knife, and we just kind of thin it out this way. And this works really well. You have a lot more control than just pounding the crap out of it with, and I usually I do it one way and then thin it out the other way. So we're also shortening the fibers here, which will make it a little more tender. And you can see, much thinner. I'm just gonna put this here, keep going. And we're just gonna quickly do these. I want to get these in the marinade as fast as possible because I want, oh, the door, yeah. I want to get this in the marinade because I want it to marinate as long as possible. And then we will move on to some other things. Neighbors upstairs will be wondering what the hell we're doing. There you go. The answer's all over the place. Yeah, these are nice and thin. Perfect. Okay. Actually kind of going the way I want it to. If you don't have a big heavy chef's knife, just, my lights changed. Just use a meat tenderizer. But this does the same thing, and I find sometimes with a meat tenderizer, I have a tendency to like kind of pound them into oblivion. It's probably super loud on stream too. Sorry, guys. Yeah, just whack it with whatever you got. Serena's got it. Serena's got it. You can also do it with your palms. Just smack the shit out of it with your palms. But I find this gives kind of a nice texture. That tight. And here's our last two pieces. I hope this is more ASMR than it is annoying. Yes, there's going to be a lot of beat your meat jokes tonight. Okay. So we got a nice thickness on these. Feeling pretty good about that. We don't need this cutting board anymore. Or a knife for that matter. Okay. Any questions on that process? Let's get this in a bowl so we can get it marinating. And you can really be kind of direct with the meat here. So you want, for half a pound, you want a tablespoon of Shaoxing wine. Not a ton. I don't want this, you don't want this like super wet. You just want a little for flavor. 1 teaspoon per pound. So I got half a teaspoon of salt here. Now I do. And what else did I say I was going to put in here? Oh yeah, some white pepper. Let's do some white pepper. That'll be nice. I want kind of like a milder pepper here. I don't want like a huge punch. So grab some of your favorites, grind them up. And that's about, I don't know, half a teaspoon maybe, probably, give or take. And then you really want to get into it. You can really kind of go to town on this. This will continue to tenderize the meat. You really want to work the marinade into the meat here. So you're going to beat your meat and you're going to work your meat without getting it too moist. We're just going to run with that one, aren't we? Because there's a reason I select that my videos are not for kids when I broadcast them. Okay, so that can go aside for a sec. I guess that's good. Just gonna wash my hands real quick. And then you really want to get into it. You can really kind of go to town on this. This will continue to tenderize the meat. You really want to work the marinade into the meat here. So you're going to Okay. So now let's make our, all my episodes, Serena, I mark them not safe for work. Or the YouTube version. You just, when you set up your broadcast, you can select whether it's appropriate for children or not. And my default, of course, is it's not. Okay. Let's get our sweet and sour sauce going. We have our vinegar. Salt. You don't even really need to stir this. It'll just go on its own. Now we are going to stir it a little because we're kind of in a hurry. Well, not in a hurry, but a little bit. So while this is going, I'm going to explain what this is here. So I had to, I'm trying to do everything kind of as we go, but this needs to sit. So this is going to be our coating, our breading. And unlike most breadings, we are not going to dredge the pieces in the breading. We're going to add it directly to the meat and coat it. You don't want a really thick coating for this. And you'll see why in a sec. So this is potato starch, which you can use cornstarch here. Potato starch is better, and I'm finding as I use potato starch more and more over cornstarch, I prefer it. It's a little harder to find, but it's the same price. Any Asian market will have it. And what we've done here is that this has been sitting here you want it to sit for at least half an hour. And all you do is stir it up and then let it sit, because you want the potato starch on the bottom. And it doesn't matter how much water you put in, as long as you put in enough to cover it, to absorb as much water as it can. And we're going to pour off the water and just use the starch. So for sweet and sour sauce like this, the ingredients are always 1-to-1. The only variable is viscosity. So we're going to reduce this. So I'm going to bring this up to temperature, going to reduce it, and I think I want to put a little bit of lemon in here. Give me a sec. I can find my lemons. This is kind of another thing I wanted to try tonight. Turn this down a bit. And I'm not going to put the lemon juice in right now. I'm going to put it in after we've reduced this to the right consistency, because if I do it now, my lemon will just boil off. So let's get this lemon going. And the reason I want to do this is we're going to have 2 acidic notes in the sweet and sour sauce tonight. So this is just a little bit I'm going to add. And the reason I want to do that is because having the acidic flavor come from sort of 2 different directions kind of makes each one of them more powerful than they were separately, if that makes sense. It's kind of like that's about right. It's kind of like what is it kind of like? It's kind of like a 12-string guitar. I don't know if you guys know what a 12-string guitar is. A 12-string guitar is a guitar with 12 strings, but it's 6 sets of 2 strings, and each set of 2 are tuned exactly the same. So you have 6 sets of strings that are all tuned exactly the same, except it is impossible to tune 2 strings on a guitar exactly the same as each other. So what happens is when you strum those 2 strings together, they're slightly out of resonance. And that's why 12-string guitars have that big chimey sound. Like if you listen to Give a Little Bit, the opening of Give a Little Bit by Supertramp. Yes, I know that was a little bit redundant, Nick. But that huge sound comes from 6 pairs of strings that are just a hair out of tune with each other. And it's similar to our vinegar and lemon. Again, 2 acidic notes, slightly different. I'm hoping they kind of add up to something more than the parts. Some of the parts? Something like that. And what am I going to put that in? I should just leave it in the pot. So I'm going to watch this for a sec because I don't have it down to where I want yet. I want just a little bit thicker. And you're going to have to play with this, guys. Viscosity is just... well, okay, so with anything with sugar in it, you can kind of tell when you're getting more and more viscous because your bubbles will come up and slow down. So you see I got fast, small bubbles here. As the vinegar boils off and the sugar intensifies, it'll start to slow down the bubbles. So that's kind of how I eyeball it. It really is a feel thing, and you'll get the hang of it. I don't want to go, I want to go a little bit more than this. Take it off the heat. It's not quite there yet. I figure 2 sips of beer is so you can see the bigger bubbles now, they're slowing down a bit. Almost, yeah. And I can tell, when you're doing this for yourself, you'll be able to see. I know it's hard to see on camera, but I can just tell I'm looking at the stuff stir in the pot, and I can see the consistency. I can see it getting thicker. It's almost there. Also, we're going to stir fry this whole thing at the end, and I'll be able to adjust consistency at the end too. And it's going to be a couple more sips. You got to be patient with that sometimes. So this this version of sweet and sour that we're doing is called Guo Bao Rou. It's an Eastern Chinese dish. It's kind of like one of the original sweet and sour dishes. This is definitely, and I mean, this sauce base is the same as a Chinese food restaurant would use, except they would put a lot of red food coloring in it. Sometimes they use Jell-O because there's sugar in here anyway, which just seems kind of bizarre to me. So I'm going to skip the food coloring in the Jell-O. This is the wrong color, I mean, put whatever color you want in. Although, isn't red 40 supposed to cause cancer or something? Maybe not the cancer one. Okay, so temporarily, I'm going to take this off the heat, and I don't know if you guys can just, whoo! Also, don't lean over. Handful of vinegar. But that's kind of the consistency I want. And as I said, we'll be able to adjust this consistency a little bit when we stir fry. So, yeah. And there's our lemon juice going in. I do want all of it. So I'm just going to give that a stir. We'll set this aside for now. All done with that. And now we have a little bit of vegetable prep. We're going to get to the next cool thing for tonight. Oh, shit. Which is my new peeler. So I have to decide here. Ever since I've been cooking, I've always used this peeler. This is the classic. This is a Rado peeler, R-A-D-O. They've been making these since the beginning of time. It's kind of the industry standard peeler, and it's a good peeler. Now, I don't like this one for me because when I peel, the handle isn't big enough for my hands, and I end up with my finger over this metal part. It's kind of annoying. And these actually have a bit of a learning curve, if you can believe it, how a vegetable peeler having a learning curve. But they do a little bit. You have to like have the blade set just right, and I mean, it works pretty well. And I showed you guys the spoon trick before. The reason I'm not doing a spoon with this tonight is I want to show you these things. Anyway, Rebecca did a little bit of research into peelers and found Kuhn Rikon, which is this company. Now, she bought a slightly different one. But this is a Y peeler. I guess because it's shaped like a Y, not why would you use it. However, I decided to give it a shot because I'm getting sick of this one. Now, I've used this over the last few days. It's awesome. I love it. I highly recommend it. They're dirt cheap. Peelers are kind of disposable. Once they get dull, you can't sharpen them, so you just get a new one. And in fact, I think the ones Rebecca got like came in a 3-pack. I got this one actually just to be a little bit different and try it out, and it works great. So obviously we need ginger for this tonight, which I'm just gonna. Also, the nice thing about this is you can just kind of like paw at things and the peel just flies off them. So I'm not gonna say no. Okay. Made a big mess. Any questions on peelers? All right. Moving on then. So our aromatics, as I said, today are going to be garlic and ginger. And we're just going to prep that because we need to wait on that for a little bit. You guys get to sit with me while I peel garlic. And I'm gonna do these. There's a bunch of different ways you can do garlic. You can just run it through a press if you want. But I like for this dish, since I know I'm gonna be like, oh, this is really annoying, sauteing it in a bit of oil. I'm gonna slice it into like little thin slices, the same way I would for like the Scarlet's pasta. If you watched the chef movie, just really, really thin slices. If you're in a hurry, there's no reason not to just run this through a garlic press, but I'm not in a hurry, so do it this way. I will say, I don't like peeling garlic like this. It's frustrating and finicky and fussy, and I have tried so many different, like, as seen on TV gadgets for peeling garlic. I've had like the little rubber things you rub the clove in, and they all kind of work, but they don't really work any better than just ripping it off with your fingers. So as much as I like kitchen gadgets, it's just unnecessary. It's like those egg separators. You know, I don't know, there's a million different kinds of egg separators you can buy, which to me just seems kind of silly because every egg comes encased in its own separator, right? You can just use the shell. So it seems unnecessary to have a separate thing for that. And believe me, I am a pro at rationalizing kitchen gadgets. But there's some things that just even I can't make a case for. And as I said, it's like frustrating to peel this garlic. Somebody, I'm sure there's a better way to do that. I just don't know what it is. I also don't want the end. All right. And the ginger we're going to slice into like little matchsticks. So again, ginger, you can mince it, but I think for this dish, it's nice to have the little bits of ginger just clinging to the pieces of pork. Serena's probably right. I'm speaking from the privileged aspect of not having any disabilities. Although, I don't know. Some of them I think are just pure marketing bullshit. So I want little slices here. I don't know. I'm just going to take like... How do I want to do this? Like that maybe? Yeah, let's just do this. And I'm just going to like cut slivers like this. That seems about right. Gingery pieces. I'm going to make these ones a little bit thinner. So these are like, I like this size here. Yes, the slap chop. I actually have tried a slap chop. And I got to tell you, in that demo video they have that I've seen, they got to do some fierce edits because that thing is totally useless. It doesn't do anything that they say it does in that infomercial or whatever, the disinfomercial, I guess. Yeah, it is a terrible thing. It just doesn't work at all. And I kind of wanted that to work because it actually looked kind of fun to use. Okay, I think that's enough ginger for me. We got enough garlic. I'm going to do a little scallions. We're going to garnish this at the end with some scallions here. Partly because I had these in the fridge. I'm not sure why. I bought these for dinner yesterday, thinking we needed them. Turns out we didn't. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the whites and we'll just slice these on the bias, which just means, of course, on an angle. But these, I mean, scallion garnish is like kind of ubiquitous in Asian cooking. Yeah, that's enough for garnish. Okay, any questions on our little prep here? We've got our 3 things together. I'm going to put these in bowls so I can clean up a little bit. The garlic, of course, and the onions. Sorry, garlic and scallion, or garlic and ginger will need at the same time. So they go in one bowl, and scallions go in another one. So, as I said, I don't just do this for stream. The little bowls and the cleanup and the counter and the bench scraper and everything, keep everything sort of organized and neat. I do this when I cook all the time. You know, regular cooking for me involves all of these things. It's a good habit to get into. It makes your cooking go just so much easier. It's just so much easier just to have everything controlled, clean as you go. You know, we've talked about this a million times before. We don't work in restaurants. You know, nobody's screaming from the front of the house for our dish. We can take our time, make it enjoyable. So, I do think, as you know, if you clean as you go, like even last night, it's certainly helped a lot with the prep, everything. We made something simple. It was funny. We made something that I thought was simple. I had my brother over for the first time in a long time, and we made lamb kofta and a potato dish. And my brother, of course, loves to cook too. So I'm always a little like, I mean, I kind of want to like impress him, right? Cook something really good. But I kind of felt like making this lamb dish, which is really, really simple. And we managed to use like every sheet pan, bowl, prep bowl in this kitchen at least twice. I probably did 3 rounds of dishes while we were making this dish. And it didn't help that the store didn't have pita. So we had to make pita, of course, which was annoying. Well, it was fun, but I wasn't expecting to make pita at the last second. So anyway, sorry, off on a tangent. It has been half an hour. So our meat has been marinating for half an hour. Let's have a look at our starch solution here, which feels great. Make it like a non-Newtonian fluid here. Let me just pour off the water. Kept a little bit of water, and you can see this is what we're left with, and this is like a super saturated starch solution. This is going to be our coating. If I can get it off the bottom of there we go. Let's just mash this up. We'll probably want all of this. Is a lot actually, but this is going to be our coating. So. There you go. That's it. Okay. So let's get this into here. And again, we really just want to mash it up, get everything well coated here. And actually, I need to add a little bit of liquid here. I don't have enough. So this probably could have sat maybe like a little bit longer. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. So you see the change in the viscosity. I guess it's all about viscosity tonight, isn't it? But you can see we just want to. We want like a pretty. We want a really light coating on this. That's what's going to make it nice and crispy. I'm going to fry this up. Okay, that looks. That's a, and this is exactly what we want. This looks so good. Okay, great. Give me a little bit more. Okay, so now we're gonna fry these 3 times. So this is kind of like, yes, this is a visceral. It's a V evening. We've got viscosity. It's a visceral. It's going to be very good. I know it's a bit of a reach. But what we need to do now is get it in the deep fryer, which you guys can see. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about deep frying here. I think I want to move this onto a different platter and lay these eggs. I want to have my individual pieces kind of at hand here. So we're going to talk about frying, because ideally we would be doing these. There's 3 fries, and ideally the first one would be done around 325. Yeah, veins of fat. See, we're all in on this together, like internal affairs. But ideally, I would do the first fry at 325, because the first fry is really just to set the coating and the shape. Now I can't do that because my deep fryer only has one setting on, which also has advantages, but in this particular case it's kind of annoying. Also, like when you do French fries too, French fries should have 2 fries as well. You fry them once for about 335, and you finish them off a little bit later when you want to eat them around, what did I say? I didn't. 375. So we're just gonna try and make this work. All I want to do here is just lay this in the oil for like less than a minute. We're not cooking it here. We're not doing anything except setting the coating. Somebody time a minute. No, I'm kidding. Let's have a look. There we go. Done. So, can you guys see? That's all we want to do. Just set the coating. I could use maybe one more second. And I'm actually going to switch to tongs for this bit. Easier. There we go. That's perfect. So this will be our first fry. Again, we're just want to get that coating set. Respect your oil. It's doing very, very hot oil. You'll probably do 2 pieces at a time here. It's already nice and crispy. You can see most of it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's good. I gotta be patient here. I always want to yank it out too soon. Not quite. Not quite. This one's good. This one's better. Okay. And the reason for the multiple fryings, okay, so the first fry, as I said, we're setting the coating, which is what we want to do. Tongs are hot. That's a huge piece. Let's get a smaller guy in there. And then the reason we do 2 fryings after this fry is the same reason they do multiple fryings for like karaage chicken. It makes it much crispier. So you want to take them out of the oil, you let them rest, and then we will, yeah, I know. you let them rest, and then so even when you do karaage chicken or certain other things, I'll just lift them out of the fryer for a second, or when you're doing like onion bhaji or something like that, you just lift them out of the fryer, let them air for a sec, put them back in. Guarantees like extra crispy coating. Okay, let's dig these guys out. Yeah, this one looks great. Okay. And this guy got all tangled up in himself. I don't know why I'm gendering pieces of pork. I don't know. Anyway. Everything looks great. Let's get this last piece in. You can also, you don't have to use like these giant pieces. I could have cut all these pieces in half and probably made my life a little easier. However, go with what we got. We're going to set up for our stir fry. Don't need the garlic anymore. Don't need this knife. Any other questions? Seems very straightforward tonight. This jacket is extremely comfortable. You guys can't see it, but it's got like side vents and stuff, which is great because this kitchen gets really hot because it's so small. I'm really happy with it. Okay, look here. And these two got stuck together, which is, oh, there we go. Not quite. Okay, things start coming out. Okay. Okay, let me show you. You just can't see. So there we go. This is the first try, and all we've done is like just set the shade. You can see it's starting to crisp up. We haven't done any cooking yet. The pork's still raw. I mean, mostly raw. We're going to do our second fry in just a sec. I want the oil to come back up to temperature because our next fries are going to be at a much higher temperature. Let's check the temperature with last week's cool thing. Yeah, so our oil temperature there dropped from, oh, actually not too much. It dropped from 375, 380 where it normally is to about 330. So we're just gonna like let that come back up to temperature for a sec. Color themes, okay. I mean, color is an important part of cooking. And we've talked about this a couple times in the past. Like, the way food looks theoretically shouldn't impact the way it tastes. But presentation is a big, important part. Presentation and color are really important parts of a dish because you taste with your tongue, but you eat with your senses. And that includes, your smell, your vision, how things feel even, like how things have mouthfeel. You can have a brilliant tasting morsel of food, but if it has the consistency of a slug, it's just not going to, people just aren't going to enjoy it. I mean, unless they eat slugs regularly, which I know a couple people who do, but that's not the point. The point is they should have good mouthfeel. Okay. Don't think we're quite ready yet for the oil, but I kind of want these to go back. And I won't be able to fry them all at once. We're going to do these in 2 batches, which is great because I'll have to take a batch out. Okay, the oil is back to temperature. So we're going to do, I just had 2 batches, right? We're going to do this in 2 batches. So 1, 2, 3, and the little guy. Okay. So we're going to do that for about 3 minutes. Yeah, I mean, you can do eggplant for purple. I don't think blue is a food color. Oh, yeah, there you go, Serena. That's a good idea. You're right. Blue's a food color. So we're just going to have to be patient and wait for that to cook. Blueberry top 3 would probably be good, although I would normally top 3 with like raspberries or something. I hope the fryer's not too loud tonight. Getting some color on these. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay. Let's hear for ASMR. It's good mode. Not quite at the color I want to see. Almost. Yeah, I can let it go the whole time. Okay. I mean, that's how I would have interpreted it, Serena. Like, the other themes, that's the best theme. Like, okay. I think I'm ready to take these out. So we're almost there. These have if you got the color I want, I'll show you guys in a sec. We are going to take them a little bit darker. So we're going to rest them temporarily. So this is the kind of color I'm looking for, guys. I'm going to show you under the camera. See, beautiful brown. And we're going to go a little bit darker than that. But in the meantime, I got all you guys out. Let's get these other pieces in. And it's harder. I'll show you guys when I get these guys out. But one of the reasons you want to like tenderize them extra thin is they will like thicken back up. Like they're gonna cook and get thicker again. So if you don't get them thin enough at the outset, they're kind of like, you don't want them too chunky, right? This is supposed to be like, especially with pork shoulder, it's not naturally tender. So you kind of want it as thin as you can possibly get. All right, almost there. Gotta be careful, Serena. That's how people get nicknames. All right. Go to the thermometer. I'm feeling good about the way this is going. not taking too long. And this is certainly like, so this is a classic Eastern Chinese dish, but you could expand on this in so many different ways, right? Maybe I'll get like the whole rainbow. I could do like a pride sauce. All the different colors. It's actually a terrible idea. Nice and crispy. I don't know if you guys can hear, but like, nice and crispy. Any other questions as we wait for this? 2 more minutes. Then we're going to do like another fry. Then we're going to stir fry. A lot of frying tonight. Yeah, that could be a hard sell though, Nick. I don't know. I mean, those are the popsicle flavors, right? You got blue, red, green, and banana. For some reason, banana is always a flavor. Like, popsicles are like banana, and then their colors, red, blue, green, banana. Taking a little bit longer. Yeah, like, I don't know. Certain colors, just, like, natural food colors are fine. Blueberries are fine. I don't know about blue ketchup. Actually, that's a good point, Serena. It smells really good. That's a consolation for you guys. Okay. Almost done here. This is done. Okay. Get these pieces out. Get 2 pieces, isn't it? And we're almost there. Like, again, we want to let these rest. I'll pull these guys so you guys can see the color. So the ones here on the left, these just came out of the fryer, and they're starting to get the color we want. Not quite there yet, so that's true. So I don't know when the bananas got wiped out, but I don't remember bananas ever tasting like a banana popsicle. I know I'm old, but I don't think I'm that old. Okay, I'm going to wait just like 30 seconds for the oil to come back up to temperature. And then we're going to drop in the second batch, and then we're going to make this. Also, the nice thing about this dish too is, because we're going to stir fry at the end and bring everything back up to temperature, you don't have to worry about your meat getting cold or anything. And now for this final fry, I'm not exactly sure how long I want to do it. I'm just going to watch the color and we'll figure it out. You'll notice too, this second batch went in, the bubbling is a lot less intense. Because that bubbling, of course, comes from the water vapor in the food evaporating out of the food. That's what gives you the nice, light, airy crust. It's what keeps your food from getting really greasy or oily when you put it in a deep fryer. A lot of people are worried that if they cook with a deep fryer that the food's going to be really oily and greasy, and it's not, as long as you don't let your oil temperature, that's why oil temperature is so important. If you let your oil temperature drop below, well, certainly to the boiling point of water, but in reality, you don't want your oil lower than 250. Because if it does go below 250, that sort of violent expulsion of air, the vapor coming out of the food, which keeps the oil from going in, stops happening. And then you're just cooking it in warm oil, and the oil will get into the food. And once it's in, you're done. I've made that mistake before with French fries because I can be a little impatient sometimes, and so I'll put too many fries in, and the oil temperature will drop, and the oil gets in the fries, and once it's in, you cannot cook it out. These look amazing, but they're not ready yet. So it's going to go the full 2 minutes. Also, you don't need a deep fryer to do this. You could easily do this. In fact, it might even be easier, like to do it in a shallow pan. You'd be able to keep the pieces a little bit flatter. But deep fryer is easier for me on stream. Oh yeah. I'll show you guys these in a second. They look great. This is a very simple dish, and normally I would probably serve this with rice or something. I'm not doing that tonight because well, honestly, I forgot to put the rice on. But it's also one more thing to keep track of on stream, so I'm gonna stay focused. Stay on target. Yeah. So I'll just show you guys the color of one before I drain them, but look at this guy. That is beautiful. And that's exactly the color I want to see. It's very crispy. I can tell just by the way the tongs are grabbing it. I'm not going to touch it with my hands just yet. Even for me, that's a little hot. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's like screaming. Okay. So thanks for being patient tonight. I know I'm doing multiple fryings. I probably could have just done one batch, but you know, half a pound of pork didn't seem like a lot of food for 2 people. So I think we're doing the right thing. It's set up to stir fry. Any questions or comments on anything that's happened so far? This is very crispy. Alright, we were taking a break for the ASMR portion of tonight's episode. 1 minute, 20 seconds. By the way, if you guys have any cocktail ideas, oh, you know what we can do? Let's talk about next week. So, this is it. I'm out of ideas. For now. I mean, I'm never out of ideas, but I don't have anything planned for next week. So, if you guys have a request or... Like, one of the things that occurred to me is, now that I've sort of returned to this Asian style, is these are really good and relatively inexpensive dishes to make. The reason I got back to this, and the reason I wanted to show you guys the sweet and sour sauce, is kind of because I was digging around in my notes and I found this sauce, but I also found my, like, not generic, but I have a go-to stir-fry sauce, you know, different sauces that you can keep a jar of it in the fridge, assemble a stir fry, and just splash the sauce in and you're good. Rebecca, I will do the Dunhill, I think, next week. That looked really intriguing. Lemon chicken we can do. You mean like the Chinese food lemon chicken? Like, I know this is like a, you know, like an authentic Chinese dish. I really, really like North American Chinese food. So I'm going to show you guys these real quick. Actually, I'm not, because I don't want to put it over the burner. But they are perfect. Very, very happy. Oh yeah, look at this. Hang on, I'm gonna just show this one because of how good it looks. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. Let's figure out next steps here. Like that. I'm gonna turn my deep fryer off. Put a plate on. So the plate on the deep fryer, in case you're wondering, keeps my entire apartment, or our entire apartment, from filling up with oil fumes, droplets in the air, which get a little wearing. Let me show you guys this before we move on. It looks incredible. So this can now sit, and it is super crispy. This can sit as long as you want, and we're just gonna stir fry it to finish it off. So you can have that all done if you had people over for this dish, or you were gonna make other dishes to go with it. Because when I do Chinese food, Asian food, I like to have a whole bunch of different things. So, haven't I done General Tso chicken yet? I would love to do that. Did we do that like way back in the Twitch days? I actually can't remember. I don't remember. I'm happy to do General Tso chicken. It's one of my favorites. And it's actually something I know how to make. Okay. I did it, eh? Okay. Well, maybe it's time to revisit General Tso chicken because those episodes are, unfortunately are long gone. Because, I mean, that's one of the reasons I switched to YouTube in the first place, because it was impossible to keep my episodes on Twitch. Okay, so a little bit of oil here, and we're going to start. And want to talk a little bit about what oil does with your aromatics, because certain aromatics respond like really well to oil, and there's a reason you don't. Because we're going to use the stir fry sauce in a second. There's a reason you don't just throw the stir fry sauce in, the aromatics into the stir fry sauce. We're gonna bloom these aromatics, the garlic and the ginger, in the oil, and that's because they just respond so incredibly well to hot oil. It sort of activates all of the flavor compounds in the aromatics. My oil's not quite up to temperature. I got a little trick here. You guys can't see it, but one of my big lights here shines in the pot at exactly the right angle, and if I just eyeball it, I can see like the shimmer on the surface of the oil, which looks like reptile skin. That's really weird. I don't know. I have a way of looking at the oil which tells me when it's hot enough, and it's hot enough. I'm gonna get my these, if you ever get a chance, you're ever in an Asian store, grab a set of these like long chopsticks for cooking. They're awesome. And that's the reason this aromatic releasing an oil thing. There's a reason. That's why recipes say, put the garlic in for 30 seconds until you smell it, because that's the flavor compounds being activated. I want to let this go a little bit longer. Ginger smell, it smells incredible. So to this, we're going to add some of our stir fry, or our sweet and sour sauce. Not quite yet, almost there. I don't want to burn the garlic, but it's okay if it gets a little bit brown, which of course it is. It's another reason you want to use garlic slices here rather than running it through a press, because if I ran it through a press, the garlic would probably burn before I released all the flavor that I wanted to. Okay, so next, a little bit of our sauce here. A little bit more, I think. Now we're just going to cook this for a sec till I get the right consistency before I put the pieces in. You can, I don't know if you guys can see, it's starting to thicken up already. And this is really easy. You thicken it to the point where it reminds you of sweet and sour pork that you get in the box, right? It's a little bit thick already. Wow, okay. I'm gonna go a little more sauce. Coat this up. I have my heat here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that's the consistency I want. I've got about the amount of sauce that I want, I think. I want to make sure that everything gets coated. So let's just, I'm just going to pile all the pork in. Get it back on heat. This is where it gets a little bit tricky because I got a lot of pork in this pan. Wok even. Try not to like totally splatter myself with it. No, Nick, you are 100% right. However, the vibrant color is usually red number 40 or Jello or some other food additive. So there's nothing natural about it, so I kind of like left it out. But if you're doing this for kids, like you could do sweet and sour pork for kids where you could use like lime Jello, make it green, like Grinch style, green eggs and ham. In fact, if you cracked an egg into this with green Jello, it would be green eggs and ham, kind of. Yes, they dye it. The sweet and sour pork with pineapple is the sort of Americanized version of, wow, that was really hot. Okay, I kind of feel like everything's well coated and probably up to temperature. A lot of, because, so when the Chinese came to the United States, they came to work in the railroads. So it was all men who didn't cook. And they basically had to use whatever they could, whatever ingredients they could get their hands on and kind of make do. I really like the look of this. Okay, give me 2 seconds, guys. What do you think? I think it looks good. So let me get the heat down a little bit here, and let's plate this up and eat it. So move this off to the side. Yeah, and you know what? We're going to talk about flips next week because that aluminum pan I bought, which I was really enjoyed for doing Italian pasta in, doesn't have a curved enough lip. I'm frustrated because it doesn't flip very well. It's a whole other story. Let me get 2 portions of this served out. Get one off to Serena. And that was almost bad. We're good to go. So that looks like a really nice piece for there. Okay. Too hard. I'm not fighting with it tonight. There's a time and a place for everything, and this is a time and a place for tongs. Okay, I'm going to leave those 2 there because I really like the color for us to have a look at. And one stays in the pan. Those scallions over top for color. Got all the scallions, might as well use them. Okay, you guys have a look at that, and I will be right back. No, it's fine. Alright, I know I've said this before, but it really is like a glitch in the matrix moment when I go into Serena's office to give her the dish, and I look at her screen and I haven't even started plating it yet. There's quite a lag, which is weird because the chat doesn't seem to be like that huge a delay. Anyway, this is what it looks like, guys. I really like the color. I like everything about this. Let's see if it's any good. Ooh, hot. Mmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it tastes like sweet and sour pork. It's much cleaner. Okay. Not bad, Nick. It's wow, it's good. It tastes reminiscent of like Chinese food restaurant, but the flavors are so much cleaner. It's a lot more subtle. It's not nearly as like you can actually taste the pork, for example, because who knows what they put in the Chinese food stuff. It's very crunchy. The texture's great. Yeah, I love it. It's really good. Oh, good. Glad you can hear the crunch. So, wow. Okay, I'm very happy with this. It's actually kind of filling though. Like, we have a lot. We're never gonna be able to eat all this. Not one sitting. The scallions are really nice garnish. To really kind of add to the flavor. Wow. No, I'm really happy with this. Good. It tastes like just good comfort food. This is I would make this as a comfort food dish for anybody. It just feels really good to eat. Yeah, it's good. Okay, guys. Any questions on anything we've done so far? Like, this is a super simple dish to make. Very few ingredients. It's a really simple process. It takes no time. You do have to like prep a couple things in advance. Like you have to marinate the meat and wait for half an hour. Your starch, you have to wait half an hour. But other than that, you throw this together in no time at all. So, very happy with it. Okay. I'm going to hang out for a couple seconds while we talk about next week for a little bit. Or not. I'm going to, if anybody has any ideas, and then I'm going to like sign off and eat. That's it. I like showing the techniques. See, Nick, because I want you guys to be able to do this for yourselves. Or use this technique to make something else in a similar vein for yourself. So, okay. Before I stuff my face anymore, I'm going to say goodnight. As always, guys, I love doing this for you. And I appreciate everybody coming out, spending time with me, being patient while we do multiple varieties of things. I will think of something for next week. And maybe we'll do something Asian again. Like I've kind of like been inspired, and I kind of miss and I love traditional Asian cooking. I have giant books on Szechuan cooking. I can't remember her name. Anyway, I had there's a woman whose name escapes me, who's basically the Julia Child of Szechuan cooking, and she has this giant book of authentic Szechuan dishes, and they're all amazing. But there's something to be said for regular Chinese American cooking, which maybe we'll do chow mein next week. Another dish that's like just infinitely adaptable to whatever's in the fridge. Let me think about it. Everybody have an amazing week, and I'll see you next time.